Okay, let's move on to the next section. You're going to need your notes, but you're also going to need to do a little bit more work yourself on this section. So I'm going to cover some stuff, and then I've got an assignment for you guys to do to kind of learn the rest of the material that goes along with this first section. So first, let's jump into the term biomes. Now, we don't use this term a lot in the course, but it is something that you should kind of understand on a larger scale. So there are three things that go into what makes up a biome. So the first thing is that it's a large geographical area. So these are much larger than an ecosystem where that could encapsulate just Waterton, for example, or a smaller subset. These are potentially as large as a huge section of North America. So a much larger area that would encompass a lot of smaller ecosystems. But they have a specific climate. So very specific things like temperature, rainfall, what their seasons are like. All of those things that would go together are going to be very set in that area, which is probably why we also get this last piece here, certain plants and animals that are adapted to that climate. So for example, in Waterton, you don't see a lot of wheat fields. There's just not the right amount of sunlight. There's not a warm enough temperature. The soil is not right conditions to have like a nice fertile wheat field. But if you come out onto the prairies, you also aren't going to find a coniferous forest because there's not enough moisture. So each of these areas, because of that specific climate, have very specific plants and animals that tend to live in those areas. Now, the part that you need to go through is you need to understand why on this map of Canada we have these 4 major biomes. And this you need to fill in your notes. The 4 major biomes we have in Canada are the tundra up north. So we're talking the way far north, even north, the northern parts of like the Northwest Territories, Quebec, things like that. We don't talk about that a lot because it's very removed from us, but very, very cold, probably very little plant life, and the animal life that would be there would have to be adapted to living on that limited amount of plant growth that would be there. The taiga, you can see, makes up a massive amount of Canada. So this is like coniferous forest. Most of central Alberta to northern Alberta is all taiga when you get into that kind of forested area between Calgary and Edmonton and up north. Almost all of places like of Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, massive parts of them are all partly taiga. We also have the grassland. That's what we're familiar with, right? The southern part of Alberta and parts of Saskatchewan, maybe a little bit of Manitoba as well, would make up that grassland ecosystem. And we do have a small amount of what's called temperate deciduous forest, kind of in southern Ontario, according to this map, where there would be a different type of forest and different type of conditions that allow that forest to grow really well. Now, this map is a little bit subjective. Depending on the textbook you read or who you're talking to, they may talk about or draw those lines, those border lines, a little bit differently between certain areas. But this gives you an idea of the 4 main biomes that are in Canada. There are really only 2 of those that we're going to look at in a lot of depth, but we are going to look at temperate deciduous forest in a little bit. So here's your assignment. In your notes on page 4, you've got this table. You need to fill this table out. So for each of these sections, we've got the taiga, which is, we talked about, a large portion of Canada. The muskeg is actually kind of a subset or a smaller ecosystem within the taiga in certain conditions in certain places that you need to know about. The grassland, which is where we live, and then the deciduous forest, which would be kind of more southern Ontario kind of an area. For each of these areas, you're going to need to figure out what are the general characteristics of that biome. What are the abiotic factors, like what's the temperature like? What's the amount of precipitation? What are the main factors that make that area taiga And why didn't it turn into a grassland? Like, what are those conditions? The biotic community would be things that live there. What kind of animals might you find? What kind of plants and sort of things like that will grow there. And then additional info is anything else that you find in your study that you just thought was interesting. Something about that area that makes it stand out or makes it a little bit different from some of the others. So in order to do that, you're going to need to go to your textbook. So if you forgot how to do that, there is a section on the website, on the Google Classroom, that shows you how to get access to the textbook digitally. You're going to want to start here. This is page 94, or if you're going through the bookmarks, it's section 4.2. Once you get to this section right here, this is where you're going to start, where it talks about the terrestrial ecosystems. And if you scroll through, they're going to find where a paragraph or two, a section that talks about each of these, the taiga, the muskeg, the grassland, and the deciduous forest. Go through those and use that information to fill out the table. If there's anything that you have trouble with or any questions, let me know. But most of that information should be there. Don't worry about all the minute details, but you should be able to figure out broad strokes of what make these different. So for example, on a test or a quiz, if I told you that an area has high amounts of rainfall and cold temperatures, and I gave you a sequence of information like that, you should be able to tell whether that would end up being grassland or taiga or deciduous forest based on the conditions that I gave, right? If it was low rainfall, warmer temperatures, whatever the combination might be, I'm not going to necessarily say there's exactly 73.6 millimeters, but I might give you a general idea. So you should just know in broad strokes kind of what those general characteristics are. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, but that's your goal here, is to try to get this table filled out so that you have that general understanding of at least those major biomes in Canada. Again, we're not really talking about the tundra because there's not a lot there, but we could easily add it in if you wanted at the bottom, if you want to do a little research on your own. So, all right, go ahead, do that assignment. It's going to take you a little bit, but hopefully not too long. I think it's a couple of pages in the textbook. And then after you do that, then watch the next video and I'll cover the aquatic ecosystems with you.